Welcome back to another episode of Kicking It with Coach Red, where we bring you all the news, stories, takes, and opinions about your favorite teams from the Pacific Northwest, from the good to the bad to the Mariners.
The sweet first place Mariners, baby.
Mariners doing work again at home. Gonna recap the White Sox and the Rangers series in this episode. But before we do that, why don't I tell you a little bit about us? If you're looking for a guy who has climbed the mountaintop, maybe we're the number one podcast covering the Seattle Mariners. Probably not, but we could with the help of you. If you follow a guy like me, your boy Coach Red, you can find me on X at the Real Coach Red, on Instagram at the Real _ Coach Red, TikTok at the Real Coach Red. Also find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications, leave a comment or two. And if you're looking for a guy that is like the JR to my JR, like the Josh Rojas to my Julio Rodriguez. If you're looking for a guy with a little bit of flow and a lot of bit of go, you're looking for a guy like Cain.
Yeah, I'm Kane. You can find me over on Twitter at Kane2406, on TikTok at Kane0624. Also follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. Follow us. Do it.
What a week.
So,
This is the
Mariners.
second homestand that they go 6-1 on in a row. They take 3 or 4 from the White Sox and pull out the brooms, baby, for division opponents.
Yeah, this week was very, very weird in terms of Mariners baseball.
It was super weird. You had the last place in almost everything White Sox, where they had to grind out multiple games, and then you've got the team that's trailing them in the division that just took a series on the road against the Dodgers, and they made it interesting in a couple of games, but we'll get to the last one where the door was slammed shut. But let's start off with last Monday night's game. Cain hit me with that score.
8-4 Mariners, but it wasn't. It was closer than it seemed.
It was a lot closer. The Mariners were, I think, at the end of the last episode, you heard Cain nervous laughter, and that's because Luis Robert took Logan Gilbert
on a pitch that shouldn't have been hit.
Upper tank, kept it inside the line, high and tight fastball coming in about 95, 96. White Sox tack on another run. I think it was Jolks also hit a homer in that.
Yes. Sosa singled to center. Vaughn scored because Andrew Vaughn had a crazy series against us.
Yeah, he's been their hottest hitter.
And then Julks homered to left.
So Logan Gilbert was going pretty strong until that home run. I think he ends up going 6 innings with 3 earnings.
6 innings with 3 earned runs with 8 punchies on the night. But then, you pop into the bottom of the 8th, and that's when the chaos starts. Dom Canzone comes in and gives you what I believe is a very spicy meatball.
Well, the other thing is Piper Shaw on Root Sports is doing an ad read, and while this is going on, finishes the ad read. Like, that's how non-competitive the game was for the Mariners up until that point where they're like, we'll let her finish the ad read, and then we'll talk about the home run after the fact.
Yeah, and so Dom Canzone absolutely blasted that ball. And it makes me want, it's like, hey, that's why this guy's on this team. He does that occasionally.
He's lightning in a bottle.
And then then the bases got loaded, right? Well,
right after that, you had Ryan Bliss smoke a single down the line. That's where if it's a little bit more down the line, he's coming into second, which knocked the starter Eric Fetty out of the game, which was huge. Michael Kopech comes in and does not slam the door shut whatsoever.
No, I believe we get 3 more runs in that inning because
you would be correct.
Oh, that's right, because Mitch Haniger happened with the bases loaded. And he had a base clearing single, it says here. Yeah. Single to right, Bliss scored. Oh no, Crawford scored Rojas to third. And then Luke Rayleigh. What a set of nuts on that dude.
Dude, that bunt was so freaking awesome. Thanks for
two
stealing my line.
two strikes on him. And that
No,
dude squares it up.
it was not two strikes.
I
Nope.
remember him being
Nope.
not great in the count.
It was one strike and it was a 96-mile-an-hour fastball high and tight. Gets it right past the pitcher. No throw. No throw to first. Ties
And
the game up.
Rojas is first move to
Yeah.
home.
Flying. And the Mariners go in to the filing. Trent Thornton, I think, comes in this game, if I'm not mistaken. Or was it Ryan Stanek?
It was Mike Bowman. I think it's Mike Bowman. Kirby Sneed
In the ninth.
Ryan Stanek.
Yeah, Stanek comes in, has an easy breezy inning, and then Mariners get the bases loaded, and Cal hits a walk-off grand slam baby to send everyone home happy.
Yeah, Cal Raleigh. Oh my gosh. As you guys heard in the last episode, this was the start of me and Coach going back and forth, just saying, pay this man. Pay this man. And then, the Mariners win that game. Awesome grand slam walk-off. Let's jump into game 2, where the Mariners won 4-3.
Well, you had the White Sox bringing up right around top 50 prospect to make his first major league start. Brian Woo's supposed to start in this game, get scratched right beforehand to get his arm checked out. They bring up Jonathan Diaz. It's actually at this game. Diaz is getting hit around early, and their starter was actually kind of breezing through some stuff. And I was shocked when you got 6 innings from Diaz and only a couple of runs given up in that game.
Yeah, 3 runs off of 9 hits. Not bad. And I believe the runs came up on 2 pissed on balls to like the gaps and a home run.
Yeah, the home run was not too far from my seats in that game. But Cal Raleigh comes through again. 3 RBIs on the night.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other one was it Mitch Garver or Luke? I think it was Mitch Garver had
Garver.
the RBI because he had back-to-back doubles with Luke Raley and Garver.
Mm-hmm. And then, they had back-to-back home runs in the third, which not really that bad when you think about the whole grand scheme of things, right?
Solo homers typically don't win you a lot of games.
No. And so back-to-back home runs in the third, and then the Mariners didn't let him score again. So he kind of locked in. At least he got 4 strikeouts.
The bullpen was nails.
Was this when Austin Bob? No, because this is where Thornton came in and pitched a inning and 2/3, and then Bauman just got it done and over with. Sauce came in to face one person.
Dude, Sauce was the king of facing one hitter, like sometimes one pitch and just getting out of innings.
We'll get there. And then in the 7th again, as you said, Cal Raleigh comes in clutch again, back-to-back nights with the game winning or tying runs.
Well, game-winning runs.
Yeah.
In back-to-back games in the 7th inning or later.
And then we're gonna go to the 3rd game. Now, Mariners win 2-1. It just keeps kind of getting worse on the scorecard.
Yeah, this game started by Bryce Miller, and Bryce Miller was humming.
Oh, he was dealing. I believe he had 10? 8. He had 8.
Yeah, 8 strikeouts. Earned run on him, or was that on the bullpen?
That was on the bullpen, and we'll get to that. So Bryce went 7 strong and absolutely was amazing. Austin Voth then came in and absolutely dismantled their swingers. And I believe he faced the bulk of their hitters too.
Um, Faced a couple guys, but his sweeper was on point that game.
It
It was
was,
unhittable. It was
it
unhittable.
was, and he struck out the side. And then you had Bauman come in again, kind of scratching my head at this point, right? I know you can't use Stanek because you used him 2 days in a row. You had Thornton available since he pitched the day prior.
Thornton pitched an
And
inning and 2/3. He's not
right.
available.
And then you still have Sauce, who is probably your most high leverage guy at this point. The
Yeah,
only
because that
person you
day,
can go.
Munoz got an injection in the back.
Yes. And Bauman gets through 2/3 of an inning. We're one pitch away from ending the game. And then Luis Robert Jr. happened again, and he tied the game. So that was very unfortunate. And then they couldn't, and then they tied it. Or no, then they went to extras. And then Mitch Haniger with the broken bat
Yeah.
blooper over second base was nuts.
Yep. So you've got Luke Rayleigh parked on second. Tyler Locklear leads off the inning, strikes out on 3 pitches. You've
Yeah.
got Dominic Canzone, who they intentionally walk to get to. Was that Robles still in the game in that one? I think he was. Mitch Haniger comes in and just kind of
Yes.
has a very strong at bat, sweeper heavy guy,
I
and then
believe he
just
goes like 8 pitches.
yeah, 8 or 9, and just kind of muscles one right over the second baseman, kind of in no man's land. And Luke Rayleigh was if Manny Acta threw up the stop sign at third base, Luke Rayleigh was coming straight through that thing. It wasn't even close, man.
He's
At the
sneaky
plate.
fast.
Well, the other thing, it was such in a weird spot that throw wasn't even on line either. Sorry,
No,
Zach Deloach.
and I'm pretty sure that 2 outs anyway. So
One
you're
out.
going.
One out.
Oh, yeah, it seemed like you went on contact, and it was full bore ahead.
He
But
knew it was getting over. I mean, a lot of guys that are at the professional level, like when a ball is going to drop, and
right,
that wasn't touching anyone's glove.
right. So it's another beautiful walk off, but it's also a little frustrating, right? You're playing a team like the White Sox, and you have to grind this out,
Who have
especially
one of their starters are all right, but their bullpen is terrible. And to not really, they capitalized on the bullpen when they needed to. A lot of this was the starters doing work and the Mariners doing some stuff late, which really blends itself into Thursday's game because you've got their top pitcher versus you had the battle of 2020 first round draft picks. So Emerson Hancock gets the spot start, so you can kind of reset the rotation to have your 1, 2, 3 going against Texas. And you've
what
got
an
Emerson
outing.
Hancock, who was drafted at 6 overall, and Garrett Crochet, who was drafted 11th overall. Former reliever gets moved to the starting rotation. And it was a battle between those two.
Mm-hmm.
Straight up battle. Emerson gives you what, 2 runs, 7 innings?
Yep. Seven
7 innings. They
innings.
were looking for 6, gives them 7. Crochet, Locklear hits his first home run
Yeah.
of his major league career off Crochet.
And it was the only off-speed pitch that he had thrown all game.
Yeah, change up blowing in, and he tanked that thing right off the top
And
of the wall.
and uh I the Mariners lost this game 3 to
The
2.
Mariners were in a position to tie the game in the 8th. It was the ninth was pretty feeble, but in the 8th inning, I believe you had a runner on second with one out,
Mm-hmm.
and they couldn't push him across. So
And I believe it was Ryan Bliss out there too.
base hit
So
scoring.
right. I wasn't as upset at this game because it's Garrett Crochet, man. The dude is leading the American League in strikeouts.
and strikeouts per nine. Like his
Yeah,
strikeout per nine number is crazy. And
he had a
Emerson
career high.
Hancock gave you about everything you could expect
Yeah,
in that game.
and the worst thing about it is Garrett Crochet set a career or a season high in strikeouts. Which hey, it
I,
sucks,
I
but
think the
it
Mariners
was bound
struck
to
out like
happen.
19 times that game.
Yeah, because everybody was just they couldn't hit the fastball, and it was apparent.
It was tough.
But then you get to the ninth inning, and Julio ties the ball game on a solo shot to center. Was awesome.
Yep. Another one, high fastball, just tatered out to right center. And it's
Mm-hmm.
good to see the power starting to come back a little bit more and more for Julio. It's something that was needed. Then you go into extras, they score. Munoz gives up the run. It's not an earned run. I was double checking this. When there's a ghost runner on second, that run does not count against the pitcher's earned run average.
That's awesome.
Yep. But Mariners just couldn't get anything going. It was pretty feeble attempts in the last
Yeah.
inning. And, you know, it's tough because with the way the Mariners had been playing, especially at home, the late game heroics, you were looking for it to happen again, and it just didn't come through. And even against bad teams, you look at it every year. There's series and games that just slip away from you. You hope this doesn't hurt them in the long run,
Mm-hmm.
but at
And
the
it was
same
a
time, there's
game.
there's times where you'll see like the Dodgers get swept by the Rockies.
Right.
It
And
happens.
this was a game where you had no Cal Raleigh until late in the game. You're giving him the day off. You give uh the
Zebe.
guy I don't like very much. He walked a couple times. That was cool, I guess. He didn't strike out as much, but he still sucks. Uh you
I
gotta get
like your
the
in-depth breakdown on Zebe as well.
he's not good. He's not good.
If you were to guess, do you think he would be the lowest WAR player on this team?
I would say yes, but I
You'd be
feel like I'm
incorrect. The
wrong.
lowest WAR is Mitch Haniger.
All right.
He's
Fair
second.
enough. Fair enough. Uh, but it was unfortunate, especially you could have got the sweep coming into Texas, who had just won their series against the Dodgers. But then it didn't really matter at this point.
Nope. You go into Friday's game, hit me with that score.
It was 3-2 Mariners, and they only scored in the first inning, and that was it. That was it. Luis Castillo locked back in and performed again. Let's see how many innings he goes. 6, and he struck out 7.
Two earned runs given up. How'd the Mariners score those runs, Kane?
I want to say that Mitch Garver got an opportunity to come up in the first. It went Yardo against his former team.
Ball was tatered.
Yeah, I believe it's the left center to the pen, basically.
Yep.
Oh, the ball's mashed. Dude's been really turning it on lately, and I'm liking what I'm seeing from him late, like as in the last 2 weeks. Really
Agreed.
like what I'm seeing from Mitch Garver. He has some really he's walking a lot and he's not striking out as much. So love that from him. And then they hit into a fielder's choice. And that's how
Julio.
yeah.
Julio did. Julio smoked one so hard to second base that it kind of caught the second baseman in an awkward position where they didn't even attempt to throw to first. And that was the run that gave them the lead and ended up being all they needed.
And then big big shouts to not letting Bauman in at the very tail end of the game. They brought him in right after Castillo. He did good. Munoz came in, struck out the side. Love to see that. And then Stanek came in and closed the door. So it's something great to see out of this team to take the series opener against Texas. Put your lead at what? It was 6.5 at that point. So
Yep.
super great to see. Then we get into Saturday's game, and the Mariners win 7-5.
And this is a game where George Kirby goes 7 innings, gives up 1 run, I believe.
Yes, strikes out 6. He didn't even give up a run.
Oh, no runs. The bullpen, I believe, going into it, the Mariners were just playing add-on this game. It was early and often. Josh Rojas, uh, kind of resurgent game here. 3 hits in the game, a couple ribbies. Julio
He had
absolutely
2
hit a.
hits in the game and he walked one, so he was
Oh,
2 for 3
sorry.
on the night.
Julio hits a 2-run bomb.
Yeah, that ball was absolutely crushed. He did it early, and the power numbers are starting to come back for him. And it's something good, and that's really what's going to propel this team coming forward.
And then they just played out on, played out on. And then you get into the ninth inning, big lead, and they bring in Bizardo just to mop up, and he does not do it. You get to
He
Corey
got two
Seager.
outs. He got to 2 outs.
He also gave up 5 runs.
4.
Okay, close enough. And then Sauce comes in against Corey Seager, if I'm not mistaken, to get another save on the season. And Locklear playing pretty good first base.
Yeah, he's taken away a lot. Let's see. Hold on. If I'm doing my math right, give me 2 seconds, please. Okay.
Okay, what do you got?
Okay, let's get to game 3 real quick.
While you're still doing the math.
Yeah, it's relevant to game 3. Don't worry.
Oh,
So in game 3, the Mariners they stood on business.
no.
They absolutely took care of them. They beat them 5-0.
Welcome to Walter.
Yeah, Walter threw his best game yet this year, and that's sitting at 8 innings, 2 hits, and 9 strikeouts. I almost expected them to throw him out there for the ninth, even though he was at 100 pitches.
I did not.
I just thought Scott might be on something, and we would see our first complete game shutout be Logan Gilbert. So, but he absolutely dealt this game, and the offense clicked. It really did.
Yeah, kept going. You had Tyler Locklear hit his second career homer. Ball was absolutely smoked.
Yep. Yeah. It was a no doubter middle fastball that he did not miss. I
No,
sent Coach a GIF, and he he wished he picked somebody else to pick to click.
no, it's fine. Um, you also had the Mariners getting a little bit of good luck in this game. Early on, you had Rayleigh doubling Mitch Haniger. Then you had Josh Rojas on second. Julio's up to bat. And
That
a
was
pass ball that
awesome.
kicks way down the first baseline. You had Rojas hesitate a little bit at third base, ends up taking home, beats the tag barely. Even on the slow mo, I don't know why Texas straight up
Challenged it.
challenged that.
Yeah.
Then you get later in the game, and you have another wild pitch that ends up scoring Rayleigh.
Yeah. Yeah. He was booking it as soon as that ball passed. So, you know, it all it would still be 3-0. A shutout win is a shutout win. You got out the brooms for this team. And the cherry on top is Corey Seager went over in this series.
Corey Seager on the year against the Mariners is 0 for 24.
Oh, that is just chef's kiss. Love that.
So Mariners are currently sitting at 8.5 games above Texas. They're 12 games above 500, 9 games above Houston, and that puts them at a winning percentage of 58%. That is 4% above Jerry's goal, baby.
That's awesome. No, this team is playing weird baseball. Again, they are the weirdest first place team I have ever watched. They are the masters at 1-run games.
They just got that clutch in them, you know.
Yeah.
Once the game's on the line, they more often than not have figured out ways to make it happen. And
Yes.
when the game is close, their hitters and pitchers are both feast just in high leverage. And I think that's a big testament to Scott Service because realistically, especially in the last 3 years, once the rebuild was kind of cresting to being a competitive team.
Mhm.
Scott Service's record in one-run ball games is bananas. They played more of them, so he obviously has the most run wins, but his percentage is tops in baseball in the last 3 years.
Yep. It baffles me every time they win a one-run game because it's chaos ball. It's what it is.
All right, let's go to our picks to click. So last week, Kane picked Tyler Locklear. I picked Ryan Bliss. And granted, Cal Raleigh was the ultimate pick to click, but we're going off of our guys. And Tyler Locklear getting 2 homers on the week, and Ryan Bliss
Back,
getting a
baby.
couple of good things happening. We'll
I'm
get
back.
into Tyler Locklear. So we're tied at 3-3. Kane, who is your pick to click this week?
Julio Rodriguez going on a big road trip. I expect Julio to elevate the play, especially going into Cleveland this week. I really think he's going to have a star-on-star performance with J Ram. So, love to see it happen. Who's your pick to click this week?
My pick to click was going to be Julio because he typically does well against the Guardians, and he's going to the place of his first big league home run in Miami. But guess what? He's already taken.
I'm sorry. Usually we discuss this.
Nope, we don't. I always just pick my other guy based off of who you're picking.
Oh,
So this is a tough one. Go ahead and give me Luke Rayleigh this week.
I like it.
He's
I like
striking
that a
out a little
lot.
bit more since June started, but he's still coming up clutch. He's able to get on base. He's playing well defensively, and he's just that guy that's doing things that really elevate the team. It's the little things, and for him to be a consistent starter, he is getting some left on left at bats, especially if they bring in a reliever because you don't want to toast your bench. And although Robles has hit a couple of balls hard, I'd much rather take Luke Rayleigh versus a lefty than Victor Robles, right?
That's
So
fair.
go ahead and give me the opportunity should be there. Go ahead and give me Luke Rayleigh to have a big week and probably hit a bomb or two.
It's like I came up with this great nickname for him, aka Nuke Rayleigh. But it's gonna be a Nuke Rayleigh J Rod showdown this week. I like it.
Love to see it. Well, usually we try to do something fun and creative for the second half of the episode. And when you really look at the last week as a whole, your two worst starts were Jonathan Diaz, who's just making a spot start, minor league contract, has been pitching pretty well for Tacoma, and then you had a little bit of a rougher outing by Gilbert, but still not that bad. Going 6 innings, giving up 3 runs,
Mhm.
still counts as a quality start there. But when you look at the week as a whole, what you saw from Logan Gilbert, especially to finish the week off, what you saw from Bryce Miller against the White Sox, what you saw from Kirby against the Rangers, what you saw with Castillo against the Rangers. And unfortunately, Brian Wu wasn't in the picture, but what you got out of Emerson Hancock, it was a phenomenal week for Mariners starters. So there's so many different metrics you can look at, but I really want to have a debate because I think that you could really make a play for each one of these guys. Who is the best Mariner starter right now? Not career, in the future, as we sit today. Who is the best Mariner starter? I will give you some context, and I'm going to read off way too many stats. Are you buckled in, Statosaurus Rex? This is like your wet dream.
I'm ready.
All right. So if we're talking about win loss on the year, which is tough to do, especially with the Mariners, these starters have a little bit of bad luck because the Mariners haven't been the best at scoring runs. So their win totals are probably suppressed a little bit because of that.
Yes.
So you've got Luis Castillo. I'm going in order of opening day rotation if Wu was in the starting five.
Yes.
Luis Castillo is 6-7. George Kirby is 6-5. Logan Gilbert is 4-4. Bryce Miller is 5-5, and Brian Wu is 3-0. Starts on the year. Luis Castillo has 15. Kirby has 15. Gilbert has 15. Bryce Miller has 14, and Wu has 6. Quality starts. Luis Castillo clocks in at 10, Kirby at 8, Logan Gilbert with 12, Bryce Miller with 8, and Brian Wu with 4. Let's get into the ERA. Luis Castillo rocking a 3.32, George Kirby rocking a 3.54, Logan Gilbert rocking a 2.93, Bryce Miller with a 3.48, and Brian Wu with a 107. Innings pitched. This is the big caveat on all the Wu fans out there. But Luis
Yeah.
Castillo, 89.1. George Kirby, 86.1. Logan Gilbert, 98.1. Bryce Miller, 82 and 2/3. And Brian Wu, 33 and 2/3 innings. Earned runs given up this year: 33 for Castillo, 34 for Kirby, 32 for Gilbert, 32 for Miller, 4 for Brian Wu. Strikeouts, 33. Or no, that was back on earned runs. Strikeouts, 92 for Castillo, 84 for Kirby, 93 for Gilbert, 80 for Miller, 24 for Brian Wu. Walks.
That's kind of nuts for Wu, though.
It's wild, right?
Yeah.
Walks, 24 for Castillo, 9 for Kirby, 20 for Gilbert, 24 for Miller, 2 for Wu. Whip. Whip is walks and hits per inning pitch. So add up all your walks, add up all your hits, divided by the amount of inning pitch. Lower number is better here. So Luis Castillo is a 1.14. George Kirby is a 1.01. Logan Gilbert is a 0.92. Bryce Miller is 0.98. And Brian Wu is at a 0.53. And I also have some stats where they rank in the MLB. I will say this: if Brian Wu qualified based off of starts and or innings, I'm not sure how ESPN was calculating that. He would be first in the majors with the best whip. But Logan Gilbert clocks in at 5th in Major League Baseball. You have Bryce Miller, who clocks in at 12th, George Kirby at 14th, and Luis Castillo at 31st. Now we're going to wins above replacement. Luis Castillo is at 1.3. George Kirby is at 1.1. Logan Gilbert is at 1.9. Bryce Miller is at 0.9. And Brian Wu clocks in at 1.4 on the WAR in 6 starts.
Yeah. He's pretty insane, huh?
So let's start eliminating some pitchers, because there's going to be, I think the debate's going to happen on when we're going to talk about eliminating these guys. Kane, why don't you eliminate a guy? If it's my guy that I think is the best right now, I'm not going to let you eliminate him, but I will give you give me some reasons why you eliminate him, and I'll give you some reasons why he should be the top.
Okay. Bryce Miller should be the first one eliminated, because there have been numerous occasions where he has gotten lit up this year. And those are tough games because it usually happens very early in the game and the Mariners just can't claw their way back. There are good sides to him. His stuff does play sometimes, as we saw against his last start against the White Sox. But if he does, he said it best, he doesn't have control of the splitter yet. And that's just whatever, however it goes, is what you're getting. So I just think with the, as you said, he has 8 quality starts on the year. Out of all the appearances, right, I just feel that he's given up more for losing the team, the game so early, that he would be my first one cast off the island.
I think with Bryce Miller, the confidence just oozes out of this guy, right?
Of course.
He has the feel of an ace when his stuff is working and he starts a game off strong. It's just the hezzies that he throws in
funny.
there.
That is
and
funny.
The like sweeping the leg. Like, this guy has superstar potential. I think where it hurts him right now is he's still a younger guy. He's still on a little bit of innings management. I think that there's some of these games where he could have gotten a little bit deeper if this was year three or later in year two, right? You saw that with Kirby as the year went along. You saw the same with Gilbert. I think that Miller is doing an extremely good job. He might be the best number four starter in the league. When you're looking at a
Agreed.
3.48, he doesn't. When you look at some of these things, his WAR is the lowest, but his WHIP is second best on this team, and his ERA is better than George Kirby. But less established, I can get behind removing Bryce Miller from the conversation. But the crazy thing is, like I said at the jump, you could make a case for every single one of these people, and
Yeah.
it's your opinion, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't say that you'd be wrong,
Right.
but
Right.
I might tell you that you're wrong.
That's
We'll see
fair.
how it goes.
You're
Who's
also
the
my
next
brother,
guy?
and you can do it.
Who's the
Uh
next guy that you're
the
eliminating?
next guy has to be Brian Wu, just for the amount that he's been out there this year. Um, as you said, it's 4 games, and I believe they no, did they lose? He's got 3 wins
He's
on the year.
he started 6 games. He has 4 quality starts. He had one where the inning before took too long and he couldn't get loose, so he only went 5 and hadn't given up a run. So he was 3 outs away from 5 quality starts out of 6.
Okay. It's just tough because he just doesn't have the innings there. But everything you've seen out of him, it's there. It's working. That fastball is moving better than it ever has before. And if you want to talk about a guy who's got swag when he's on the mound, you can give me Brian Wu. It's a damn shame he's got to get cast off the island this early for just being injured. And that's the unfortunate part.
Yeah, and they're being super sensitive with him.
Yeah. He will be on the pitch count all year.
He will be. I mean, last year was the most innings he's ever thrown in his life, right? And the stuff's playing well with the Mariners in the position that they're at. We talked last week about them going and making some moves for hitters, but with the emergence a little bit and what you've seen out of Emerson Hancock being able to take over some time if you've got a guy that misses some time, I think that Brian Wu is going to be a catalyst for this team and could be a dynamite guy that might get you a start in the postseason or be a long relief guy because it is a different game once you hit the postseason. If someone's
Mm-hmm.
getting hit around a little bit, they're getting pulled early. You're going all out to win every single game.
Yep.
And he's basically done that this whole year. He's looked electric. The stuff is even better than it looked last year. And he's been damn near unhittable when he's been on the mound. So
Mm-hmm.
when you look at all those things, it is tough, but availability is key. You got to be out there to you need a little bit more, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, Kane, who's the next guy that we are eliminating?
I feel like I have to go with Luis Castillo here. Um, I think George and Walter are just a step above because you have seen it this year with Luis Castillo. He regressed hard at the beginning of the year, and it was not good.
And
He
he's
was
bounced
give
back
he has
miraculously.
he has, and
We're talking
I
about right now.
right right. But through the game so far, his strikeout numbers are down to what they have been. I get that he is still up there in the leaderboards on this team.
He's
Um,
one behind Logan Gilbert. He's second.
right.
He's second.
I just think with the stuff that he has, it doesn't play as much as my next 2 guys here.
I think that we're gonna have the same first place one, but it's tough to say that, right?
Yeah.
Because you look at Luis Castillo. Yes, he did not start off very hot. Looked good enough on opening day.
He bounced back in Colorado. That's where it turned around for him.
Yeah, and when you look at him, his innings pitched are second on the team behind Logan
Mm-hmm.
Gilbert. Walks are a little bit higher than I'd like to see, but he consistently gets deeper into games. He's got 3 extra innings on there. Obviously, Gilbert is leader in the clubhouse by about
Mm-hmm.
1 full game right now on the bump. But this is the guy that has the experience. This is the guy that I want to see on the mound game one of the playoffs because He's another guy that high leverage, high
Yep.
impact games. You saw it against Texas. Came out a little bit rocky. They got his back, and he just said, "All right, time to shut the door. I'm
Right.
La Prieta. I'm rock you. We will rock you."
Yeah. I just don't think he
He's
brings
the
as
guy that
much
you
to the.
know out of this rotation that you're still going to have an opportunity to win, but the chances of him giving up 1 or 0 runs is a little less likely than everyone on the list. He's
Yeah.
going to be your most consistent starter, I
Mhm.
believe. There, I think we've got to the point where you don't see those balloon games anymore. Like you've seen the balloon games with Bryce Miller, you've seen it with Logan Gilbert, you've seen it with George Kirby. You don't see it that much from Luis Castillo. A bad outing for him is like 4 runs over 6.
Yeah. Exactly.
Mr. Consistency.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So the next guy that I'm casting off the island is unfortunately George Kirby. I mean, he's just a step below Logan, man. And there are some of those games where you're just like, oh man, George looks horrible this game. But the game, it was like when you said his rookie year. When his bros were there, he was nails. When his bros aren't there, he was bad. But this year, he has been more consistent. He has been playing with his off speed a little bit while he's out there. Yeah, he can blow it by at 97 miles an hour, but he's also throwing the slider. He's also throwing the changeup. He's doing things more creatively to get punch outs this year. And he is just, in the last few starts, he is just mowing people down. So I we're in a tough area because potentially him and Logan could both just transcend superstar when it comes to the pitching position. And it's so hard to choose between both of them.
I hear your negatives for Kirby. I'm going to give you some negatives for Logan Gilbert here. So, Logan Gilbert, I think we are overly enamored with what he did yesterday, right? Recency bias plays in. I think we were texting yesterday, and I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he's AL pitcher of the week. But I happen to forget that the last game he started, he gave up 3 runs to the White Sox, right? So
Mm,
what you got to look with Logan Gilbert is he's been traditionally the guy that the team scores the most runs for. So when you look at total decisions, he's sitting at 8. So usually his games are not getting there, and he's given up some runs, and he's not been, or they've scored late. He hasn't been involved in a decision. The game that he won yesterday was his first win since the middle of May.
yes,
That's a
I
long
know.
time to go with a guy that you're telling me is the best pitcher right now. If we're talking about, he was the best pitcher yesterday, but when you look at the last couple of games that Kirby has thrown, Kirby has went deeper into games. He's going 6, 7 innings consistently. It's 1 or 0 runs. His ERA has come down quite a bit from where it was at the beginning of the year. He had that blow up start against Cleveland. Kirby is worst against heavy contact teams. So the Cleveland
That's
Guardians are
true.
a bad matchup for him. The guys that put bat to ball and are aggressive early hurt him a lot. The power teams, they can't hit him.
Oh yeah,
Marcus
he's
Simeon,
he's not even gonna face Cleveland this week.
exactly.
That's why they put Emerson in the.
No, they wanted to match up your top 3 guys
Of
with
course,
this Texas series to really kind of further yourself and keep winning these division games, right?
of course.
But I think that being able to do that, because guess what? If you wouldn't have done that, Kirby still wouldn't have thrown against
Yeah.
Cleveland. I think that those teams kind of hurt. Logan's stuff plays a little bit more consistently, as you can see with him getting later into games. People are trying to jump on him and they can't. He's got the
Stuff is
second
so
best.
gross.
He's sitting at an under 3 ERA. He's at 1.9 wins above replacement. The next closest guy is Wu on the 6 starts at 1.4, but he's just been so dominant, but we had to eliminate him due to the amount of innings. I agree with you. I do think that it is Logan Gilbert as the top starter right now. but some of the stats didn't play. And you're hoping that when they make that move to go get a bigger impact bat, you're starting to see good things out of Julio. You're seeing more good things out of Mitch Garver. You have Ty France that is coming back into this lineup a lot sooner than anticipated. Polanco's going to be back in the building that will
He just
probably
started
give
his
you a little
rehabs
bit
too.
more consistency than Ryan Bliss. Even though he's a spark plug, I think he gives you a little bit more consistency there, right?
Question: does Bliss stay on the big squad come Jorge Polanco back?
I think that he does because when Polanco comes back, that opens the door for Dylan to sit there and platoon in the outfield and third base again instead of also getting the at bats at second base. So I think that that gives you a little bit more of an advantage to keep Bliss on this team. I think that once Ty France gets back, that Locklear gets sent down because you want him to have consistent playing time. The guy played a handful of games in AAA. He's looked good, but you can also see the inconsistency. Chase
Mm-hmm.
in big moments, chasing balls out of the zone, swinging early. He looks like little Corey Seager out there swinging at every first pitch, damn near, right? Yes, he can run into one, but during the dog days of summer, you're going to need Ty France on this team grinding out at bats,
Yeah,
right? And I
yeah.
think that with Bliss, it's going to really come down to what do you want to see with this team? Do you want to keep Robles in as that platoon bat that has a little bit of speed? He's looked a little clunky with this team, or is Zebi Zavala's days numbered here? I think if Zebi Zavala's days are numbered here, he leaves. You keep Bliss on this team as that spark plug speed guy that comes off the bench,
Mm-hmm.
and then potentially down the road seeing a Cade Marlowe or a Emmanuel Clase kind of taking over that Robles spot, or going and getting a power hitting outfield like Luis Robert. You know, it's really going to depend how this team is going to be constructed with the moves that they make. But
Mm-hmm.
every single one of these starters absolutely nails this whole last week. And it's what the team's built on. And for the most part, the bullpen did its work too. Sauce coming in with just one pitch, one out.
Dude,
Austin Voth absolutely dealing. Bobman, if he's not pitching in the ninth, phenomenal.
yeah, dude. That's who I want to touch on real quick is Austin Both. Oh my goodness, how the just light switch flicked for him. And granted, he was facing the White Sox and he struck out
Necessity.
the side, but the dude, his slider slash sweeper that he's got going for him is one of the grossest things I've ever seen in baseball.
Guess what? The Rangers didn't do anything against him yesterday either.
I know. He's just really
He's had to
good
do it
now.
because of necessity, right? You
Mm-hmm.
had some guys that are on this team that you expected to be in those spots in Brash and with Santos, who is seemingly getting closer and closer every day, should be up. My guess is probably right around the All Star break.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at this team, you've had Stanek that's been a little up and down. You've got Spire that's on the IL right now, which hurts. You have Sauce that had a stint on the IL when he was getting his high leverage situations. And you've had Munoz not be as available. So that has opened the door for these types of guys to come in and make their mark known. And for the most part, they haven't disappointed. You've had a
No.
couple of gaffes, but welcome to baseball. This is why you play 162 games. This is why you don't play a 50 game season, because if you played a 50 game season, the best team probably wouldn't win.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
It was a good week. 6-1 on the week. That's fantastic.
6-1 the week. They are 12-2 on the last two homestands.
Yeah.
12-2.
Yep.
And
It's been amazing.
that's against three division opponents with one loss to the division
Let's
opponents.
and let's put this in perspective. The Mariners have lost 5 games against division opponents this year. Absolutely insane.
Like legitimately, I was looking at this say. So the Mariners are 7 games away from the halfway point of the season. The Mariners could lose the next 7 games and at minimum would still have a game and a half up in the division
Yeah,
at the
they would.
halfway point. They're
They would.
probably going to be clocking in with a range, I would say, of 8.5 right now. I'm going to say probably 6 to 11 range at the halfway point. You're going to be in a good spot with this, with the way the starting staff does. And it's time for the team to go make some moves, add some guys in, make this a little uncomfortable, go get some guys to insert on this team to help score some more runs. And like we talked about, you have those guys starting to heat up. JP was starting to heat up a little bit, cooled a little bit in the Texas series. Same thing with Cal, but Cal and JP both come up together at the same time. Rojas is looking a little bit back. Rayleigh's doing his thing. Mitch Haniger's still doing stuff that positively affects the game with his bat. Julio's heating up, Garver, the same thing. And I'm just ready for those professional at bats from Ty France to come back.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and on that note,
maybe you should go give me a follow. Your boy Coach Red. You can find me on X at the Real Coach Red, on Instagram at the Real _ Coach Red, TikTok at the Real Coach Red. Also find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications, leave a comment or two. Kane, where you at?
you can find me over on Twitter at Kane2406, on TikTok, Kane0624. Also follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. False. Do it. Freaking do it.
And as always, stay fresh.
Stay fresh, peeps.
Peace.